Welcome back, everybody, to episode 12 of the Jader and Kyle show. We're rolling along here, guys, keeping you busy during this quarantine that's going on. Jader can't figure out how to make 12 with his fingers.
I can't, dude. This camera is inverted, man.
Just back and forth. What's been going on for you in your world, Jader? How you keeping busy?
Yes, absolutely busy, man. I've been working a whole lot this week, thankfully, because they
Yeah.
were starting cut hours, and then they were being very in. They're like, "All right, man, we're gonna give you all the hours you can," and then they started cutting, and then all of a sudden, like three people called out this week because they were feeling sick, and then it was like Jader to the forefront. So, but I've had a good week so far.
Are people buying phones right now? Are you doing good?
Like, dude, like crazy. Like Father's
Oh,
Day
yeah?
weekend was incredible. What up, Sim? And we had Father's Day weekend was incredible. We had a bunch of great deals going on with like watches and tablets and stuff. So people were buying those for their kids, I guess, to since they're home.
Mhm.
A lot of graduating presents. So I had a lot of people buying graduating presents for the recent graduate senior class and all that. And
Man.
we had a lot of like free phone, free line. If you have more than one line, like pretty good stuff. So thankfully this month, I thought we were going to take a bigger hit. And it ended up actually working out in our favor. I think T-Mobile released some really good deals.
There's the plug right there, guys.
Just
Go
yeah,
in.
there you. I know the whole time I was trying not to mention them, but whatever. It is what it is.
If you need to get a
I
phone
work for
from
T-Mobile, guys.
T-Mobile,
If you need
yeah,
T-Mobile, see your boy.
get in there.
But overall, I don't even know if I actually caught up with anything this week. This is how crazy it's been. I'm trying to remember if I sat down and saw anything besides Edge of Tomorrow, which. But
Oh, hey man, that's fine because we're here. We're gonna catch everyone up. There was a lot of news in the movies this week, and we're talking about Keaton this week, and we're gonna talk about Edge of Tomorrow. That's our big film this week, so we're gonna get to that. But we're not alone on this show. We're joined by a guest. It feels like every single week now. So this week we are joined by a fellow film critic and journalist. Here it is, Anthony. Anthony, welcome to the show, man.
How are you guys? How you guys doing?
Good,
welcome,
man.
dude. Welcome.
It's been a long time coming. We've been trying to, squeeze you in. We got you here.
Oh man, thank you. No, I've been watching a few of the episodes that you guys have done, and I really liked it. And I've been looking for at least something to do while I've been so this is like the perfect thing. So,
how have you been holding up during all this, man? What's been keeping you busy?
Man, look, let me tell you something. I've binge watched so many things that I never thought I would watch. Dead to Me. Never thought I'd watch that show. Watched it all for no reason.
I heard it's actually solid, though. I heard it's a solid show.
To be honest with you, I watched it for all the wrong reasons because I've always had a crush on like Linda Cardinelli. I think that's her name.
It's her birthday today.
It's her birthday today?
I promise you, yeah. I'm a big fan of hers too. I actually, not for the wrong reasons or anything. I actually do like. I feel like she's a very underrated actress, and I feel like she should get better roles.
Completely underrated.
So she's completely underrated. So I get you there. But yeah, I read today that it was her birthday. I was like, oh, that's dope. So, and funny enough, you mentioned her.
Yeah, no, and it was like I liked her since Boy Meets World, and I'm like, you know what? Let me watch it. It's actually a really good show. I wanted to actually, for whatever reason, because I finally got Disney Plus too. I was very late to Disney Plus. I still don't see what's so good about it.
Let me tell you, man, if you're a Star Wars fan, I just saw the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars series, and I've never really watched the Clone Wars, but everyone told me watch the last 4 episodes. It's awesome. It's really good, man. It's like what's going on during Order 66 on other parts of the galaxy. So it was really interesting if you guys want to check that out.
I've been interested because of Darth Maul. I heard Darth Maul had like a big role, and it was like pretty good. So I want to see
him and his brother.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot he did have a brother.
Yeah.
But Anthony is a journalist like us, and he gets to interview all the celebrities just like we get to do. And one of the things we were just talking about is he got to see Mulan right before everything happened here in the world with the coronavirus. And now Mulan got pushed back to July 24th, and then go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was 2 days before the shutdown that we got to see Mulan.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
Lucky you, huh?
It's crazy. He's embargoed for so many months right now.
Yeah, no, but the movie's actually good. The movie's good. It's out of the live adaptation, probably some of the best ones that they've made. Especially a lot better than the Maleficent 2 that we got to see in theaters. Way better than Maleficent 2.
He actually
Well,
liked that
it's
movie.
been put. Yeah, I enjoyed it for how bad it was. I had some fun.
While we watched that movie was horrible. Horrible.
But one of the things that happened is Mulan was supposed to come out July 24th, got pushed back just today to August 21st. And people are starting to wonder now, are we ever going to get to see these movies? Or what's the next step for these movies? Mulan, August 21st, I think it kind of relies on a movie we're going to talk about in a sec. But do you think we're seeing this on this release date? Jader, let's start with you.
Nope.
No?
I think it's gonna go to Disney Plus, and it sucks because I've heard not only from Anthony, it's actually pretty good. I've heard from several people that got to see it. Well, not several, but the few that got to see it have told me that it's a really good adaptation, and that it has pretty monumental scenes that deserve to be seen on the big screen. I heard the ending especially was pretty epic. I'm hoping we see it in the theater, but these delays after delays after delays, and knowing that Disney, everybody can just stream it, and Disney Plus has been working fine for Disney. I feel like we might not be able to see it in the big screen. I think that eventually, I feel like it's going to talk about. It is going to depend on exactly what you just said, Kyle. It could depend on how the next film we're going to talk about does in theater, and see how people go back to the theater. But if they feel like it's not, the numbers aren't going to be, that the numbers aren't what they're expecting it to be, we might see this at home.
Yeah, which, is a shame because from what you were saying, like, it's a big experience you want to see in the theaters. And let's just jump to that other one right now. Let's jump to Tenet right now. Tenet, just yesterday, it was supposed to come out July 31st, been pushed back another 2 weeks. Now it's coming out August 12th. I feel like every studio is looking at this film to see what it does. This is going to be the one that shows us, do we put movies in theaters or do we just wait until there's a vaccine? And that's like the bigger discussion we have to have at this point is, when is the right time? Because I don't know when the right time is to start putting movies in theaters. I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect time at this point, unless there's a vaccine. But at that point, then theaters are going to be shutting down because they can't afford to stay open anymore. And what are you going to put out in theaters anymore? So, Anthony, you see this delay. How do you feel about going back to a movie theater August 12th to see Tenet?
I'm not going.
Not okay.
I'm 100% not going to the movie theater simply because it's not. I don't know if it's different. It's obviously going to be very different in whichever state that you're at.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in Florida, I'm not. There's no way. And on top of it, it's just one movie, really. Tenet at least has that going for it, that its only competition is Tenet. What other big movies coming out? As for Mulan, I think that's more to do with, I think under different platform, it probably would still be released in theaters, but I'll agree with Jader that I think it will be on Disney Plus soon. Simply because Disney Plus has nothing on it. You have Hamilton.
You got to keep those customers happy, man.
Like, they're desperate for content, and it's not like they can film content or film like another season and put it out there. It's not ready yet. I think there's still restrictions for filming also.
Well, we do have Hamilton coming out July 3rd. Disney's putting a Broadway version of Hamilton on Disney Plus July 3rd. I think that's going to be a big move for them.
Big hype. No, and it has big hype because a lot of people, I don't know, I've never seen it. I've heard some of the songs because my girlfriend loves it, loves that soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if she's seen Hamilton, but that obviously is huge that they're bringing that in there. I'll definitely be tuning in. Some of the songs that I did hear, I dig, and I want to see what the hype is about, to be completely honest with you. I'm not a big musical guy or anything like that, but I feel like that's a huge move on Disney's behalf. I feel like it'll hold them off in the meantime, but what after that? Again, the problem with streaming services is it's one of those things where movie theaters, you can only get certain audience at that time. You're going to have certain times that you can see these movies. Exactly at when you're seeing something on Disney Plus, it's at your leisure. Whenever you want to do it, you can do it. And anybody, if you want to see 18 people at the same time, you're going to see it. So again, when something like drops on Netflix, which quick little shout out to Mil Ruiz, he's that's my cousin, where he says, don't know if you know that The Boys season 2 is set up for September.
September 15th. That was confirmed today.
Yeah, which that show's amazing. I love that show. I know you. I think Kyle, you're like indifferent about it, right? You don't.
No, I love that show too.
Oh, you loved it. Okay.
Yeah, I think they should be releasing it sooner.
Yeah, but it goes back to saying where we watch these shows and we finish them in a day.
Yeah.
So what else is Disney Plus going to give us? Exactly what you guys said. No one's recording anything. They're not producing anything right now. So they need it. Whatever they have now, they need to start releasing. That's what they did with Onward. I don't see why they wouldn't do it with Mulan.
So I talked to a Marvel producer about 2 months ago now at this point, which is crazy to think about. And they were saying that they were aiming to come back June 1st to start filming everything. And notice we haven't heard any delays on the Marvel TV shows getting pushed back at all. So I would keep that in mind, because I think August was when Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to come out, and then we're supposed to get WandaVision in, I think, October, and then Mandalorian in November. So they've got their slate coming real soon, but I'm starting to wonder, did they get everything done and they're going to be able to push stuff back? Who knows at this point? I think that's the next step. I want to bring up, I actually went to a theater last week.
I was going to mention that.
Yes, I went to a theater, and I know people are scared right now, and I just wanted to see what it was about. I want to use this opportunity to see movies that I've never seen in theaters, to get to see them on the big screen. So I took this moment to go see Saving Private Ryan on the big screen. My local theater was showing it. I wanted to give it a chance. Walked in. You do everything online first before you even step in, and then there's glass in front of the concession stands. There's hand sanitizer all over the place. Dispensers like everywhere, on the concession stand, hanging on the walls, over by the popcorn. When you walk in the theater, everywhere. And then when you buy a seat, they automatically take the 2 seats next to you on both sides and knock them out. Yeah,
that's what I figured it was going to happen. All right, I was going to ask you how the seating arrangements were.
Well, yeah, so that's how it happened. So there's only 3 people in the theater, including myself, because it was just like the second day it was open. And it's Saving Private Ryan. They had like Harry Potter's and other stuff playing in other theaters. But I felt completely safe, to be honest. You walk in, you have your mask on, you're feeling safe, and then you sit down in the seat, take your mask off. You can just relax, see what it's like, enjoy the experience. And then when you're going to get up, put your mask back on, use hand sanitizer all the time. If you're safe, you can be safe in a movie theater. But I understand the hesitation by a lot of people, to where you're also going to be in an enclosed environment. You don't know who's touching what. And you kind of have to cross your fingers and hope everyone's being safe. I get it. I just felt more safe in the theater than I did in like Target or getting my groceries at Publix,
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Anthony. No, you first, because I was not going to say anything important.
Look, like, I understand that. Like, I think there is that is pretty cool. You get to see Saving Private Ryan in theaters, because I know I never got to see that movie in theaters.
Damn, how old are you guys, bro? I saw it in, actually with funny enough, with my cousin that's commenting, with my cousin Milton. He's the one that took me. And I was 12 years old. I remember walking into the theater and then warning him how violent the movie was. He kind of looked at me and he was like, it's funny because he showed me 2 movies that I will be mentioning today, which one of them is, we're talking about it now, Saving Private Ryan, and I'll talk about the other one when we review our film. But he kind of looked at me and he goes, are you going to be all right? I'm like, dude, I've seen RoboCop. I've seen I'm fine. And then he's like, all right, let's go. And I remember seeing that movie. The opening scene, obviously, it's what everybody talks about. It's actually in my top 10 films of all time. I absolutely adore this film. But I remember seeing it, and it was indeed graphic for, again, me being 12 years old at the time. As much as I've seen violent films my whole life, I was kind of like, oh my God. But what impacted me more was that I saw it opening weekend, and there were a lot of veterans in that theater. And I saw some older men cry watching this film. And I was like, this is insane. That was the most impactful, and I would never forget that experience for that reason. Movie being freaking amazing. I will never forget that old man crying in the theater where I was like, holy crap. And it was not one, it was like, it wasn't a bunch. It was like two guys, maybe three that were in there and they were crying. And funny enough, I guess they served together because it was all of them together, and I was like, crap, this is crazy. But that's why it kind of mind blows me. I don't know how old you guys are or anything. I know, Kyle, you're young. But that's why I was like, what the hell? Like, how did you not see this in theater? But okay.
When did the movie come out? Like 2000?
It's 98.
1998.
Yeah. Wait. No way. I was
1 year old.
I was 12.
I was 6.
I was 12 years old, man. All right. Well, thanks for making me feel old.
Yeah, I'm happy I got to do it. Like, it was truly a movie that I know you got to see in the big screen. Yeah, they were playing, like I said, the first 4 Harry Potter movies. Sonic the Hedgehog was there. Forrest Gump was there. I wanted to see a movie that deserves to be on the big screen. And
Jurassic Park killed apparently last week.
Yeah, I heard about it. It wasn't playing here, but I heard about that. They have like Gladiator coming this week, which I might go to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All those movies you mentioned Forrest Gump, you mentioned I mentioned Jurassic Park. I saw all that in the theater.
Yeah.
Every single Gladiator I saw in the theater. So
see, but you missed these opportunities. You want to go back and see them. And I think like if there is a reason to go to theaters, that's the one right now.
Well, I understand you because when they re-released Back to the Future, I didn't get to see Back to the Future in the theater. That's one that I would go see. I'm not go see. I went to go see when they re-released it because it exactly. It's just there's just some films that you have to see in the big screen, and I can't wait for Blade Runner 2049 to get re-released.
I just one thing I want to point out. So Tenet's supposed to be August 12th. I don't know if we're gonna get another pushback. I got a feeling we will at some point, but we'll see how everything goes. Like Anthony mentioned with Florida, boy, we're spiking up real fast right here with coronavirus cases. It's bad right now. So we'll see what happens.
Did you see the spike today? I think we did. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's terrible. Or just wear a mask, people. Come on, it's not hard.
I literally I took it off before we started the show, but I literally have one wrapped around where I just it's part of it's crazy because I was seeing a meme and I'm like, I feel just like that where it's like Key's wallet. They're like, oh crap, my mask. Or like if you're Spider-Man or something, and I always have it on me for that reason because you never know. And as soon as I get out of the car, I'm like, boop, here you go.
Yep. Yeah. One thing I want to point out, so August 12th is supposed to be Tenet right now. August 21st is Mulan. Right around the corner, August 28th, New Mutants is still scheduled to come out. It's never going to come out, guys.
It's not. He's so hopeful. Look at him. Look at that face.
I am rooting for that movie so hard. I need that movie to come out.
That's the next one that's going to get pushed back again. Or you know what? Disney at this point needs to just say, let's put it on Disney Plus or Hulu, something. Just put it out there.
But they should have done that. They should have done that a long time ago, in my opinion, to be honest with you. But maybe they're saving it for exactly what we were just talking about, where they're not going to have anything to release. Of like, hey, you mutants, you guys are getting, because everyone wants to see that movie, as crappy as it might be.
It's just that I think part of the agreement when I think Disney bought Fox was that any of the pending movies that Fox had to get a theatrical release. I think that was part of the
I had to get a theatrical release.
Yeah, I think it has to. So I'm glad about that. I want people to see that movie. Because
you haven't seen it, right?
No.
Have you seen it?
No.
I know. There's no. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that I heard somebody saw it from LA. Like there was a screener in LA that some people got to see it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, who knows at this point? I don't know when we're going to see it, but I just think it's funny that Mulan is now scheduled to come out a week before New Mutants. It just feels inevitable at this point. It's going to get pushed back. But that wasn't the biggest news that happened this week. This came out of nowhere. DC has been kind of doing a little well lately. They had success with Shazam, and then Joker won them an Oscar. And now they have Wonder Woman coming out this year.
The Snyder Cut news, that was huge.
Yep, Snyder Cut news. But The Flash has been pushed back so many times, gone through so many directors at this point. It just kind of felt like this movie's never going to happen. And then the big news happens this week, and that is Michael Keaton is coming back to play Bruce Wayne / Batman for the Flash movie. I mean, Anthony, I want to start with you, man. When you heard this news, like, did you even think this was possible at some point, or like, what went through your mind when you heard this?
To be honest with you, I thought it was a fake rumor. I thought like, it's just one of those that people are spreading. I didn't even pay attention to it. It took me like about an hour because it kept spreading, and then I saw it.
Boom, 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 everywhere.
You think like, all right, what is this? And you're seeing like a bunch of different outlets talking about it. So it's gonna happen, I think. It just hasn't been confirmed yet, but I just find it weird that in the span of, depending on how things get delayed, in the span of 2 years, we're gonna get 3 Batmans. 3.
Yeah.
We're gonna get the Snyder Cut Batman, Robert Pattinson, and then Michael Keaton. That's very weird.
Well, go ahead.
Like that's very weird to me. Like, why? I don't know where they're going with this. It sounds great, but until like I see it, I can't be excited about it because I don't know what's gonna happen. Because I thought Robert Pattinson's Batman was gonna be the new DCEU Batman, but now it's looking more like that's gonna be like a joke.
Own thing.
It's gonna be
It's gonna be maybe like a Nolan, like how Nolan didn't have any connecting universe or anything. It's gonna be its own trilogy or something like that.
But then with what we're hearing about with Flashpoint, does that mean since Michael Keaton's 2 movies are in this wide universe on Earth whatever, does that mean that Christian Bale's Batman is in Earth whatever in the same universe? Like you have so many possibilities now.
Well, that's the beauty of Flashpoint.
But that just, for me, just complicates things so much because like,
no, I get that.
Because I get
that.
I want to see Michael Keaton. I hope it's not just a cameo, that they're just gonna throw him in there, like what was it, Ezra Miller on the Flash on the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's not like that, like a little quick oh hey, there's Michael Keaton, and then you just go away and that's it.
Well, the rumor is he's being set up to be like the Nick Fury type of character for the DCEU, which is very an interesting choice. I want to bring up Sean O'Connell from Cinema Blend said that he ran into now director Andy Muschietti outside of a hotel when they were doing the Birds of Prey junket. This was just this year. And he asked him, like, hey, are you going to bring Jeffrey Dean Morgan back for Flashpoint? And he looked at him and said, we actually got another idea in mind. And then that was it. And this is what it was. They've been working on Keaton for, I guess, a little while now to get him to come back. And here we are. Jader, I mean, I know you're a big DC fan. What goes through you when you hear this?
Dude, same thing. I honestly thought it was one of those we got it covered, freaking little
fake news.
Yeah, fake news. And I was like, but then when I saw it pop up, because I saw it almost immediately. When I saw it pop up, I was like, that's not you got it covered. It was like comicbook.com, which is a lot more
THR. THR was before.
Well, there you go. Imagine. So no, the first one that I saw was that one, and then it was everywhere, and I was like, oh my God, this is for real. Like as soon as I saw that it wasn't we got it covered, I was like, all right, I was a little hopeful. Yeah, pretty much, man. And dude, it depends on the time of day that you ask me who my favorite Batman is, because I grew up with Michael Keaton. Like Batman 89 was the first movie that I saw in theater, if I'm not mistaken. First movie that I saw that I wanted to see in the theater, because my mom would take me prior to crap that, like, I saw Lethal Weapon 3 was technically the first movie I saw in the theater, But I told you, I've been watching like violent movies since I was a kid. But I remember 89 Batman I saw it in theater, and that's what that was always my Batman. However, I do love, The Dark Knight is my favorite film of all time. But I do love what Bale did with the character. So I always teeter-totter on who my favorite Batman is. I grew up with Keaton, but as I related more to the Nolan films because of at the time, I guess I was where I was like, hey, look, comic book movies are cool again, or are cool. And I love this. I told you I love the seriousness of these comic book films. Like I love my Logans, I love my Winter Soldiers, and I love my Nolan Batmans, with the exception of Rises, which we will, I promise you, cover one day.
I can't wait.
I can't wait. Anywho, So when I heard, and I love just Michael Keaton, like period, like as an actor, like he's just fantastic, and everything that he's been doing as of late. Why wouldn't you want to see him again on the big screen? Now, just like me, I'm like trying to fanboy. Like I have this fanboy fantasy because I love the Batman animated series, but I also love Batman Beyond so much, and I think what.
I knew you were going to go there. Go ahead. Go.
Of course, man. Why wouldn't you? And you know, obviously Keaton's older. We have a older Bruce Wayne. The thing is, it does feel. I hope it doesn't get that Spider-Man 3 treatment. You get me? Where it's gonna be too much with all these characters. And I am cautious, just like Anthony says. I am cautious because you mentioned, obviously we mentioned Robert Pattinson. We have the Snyder Affleck. Now that Henry Cavill doesn't want, you know, we had the mention of Henry Cavill still trying to be Superman. What makes you think that they won't want to keep Affleck around? You know, that's I guarantee you that talk it's being thrown in there to see what Snyder does with that universe. And then not only that, we have also the rumor that Jeffrey D. Morgan might also come back for the Flashpoint movie. So that's 4. You know, you got Affleck, you got Patterson, you have now Keaton, and then Dean Morgan
and Will Arnett.
And I guarantee you he'll make some cameo. Speaking of, that's okay. Remember in the beginning of the show, I told you I didn't know what I saw. I saw Lego Masters. Have you guys seen that show? It's fantastic. Awesome. It's so great. I finished the first season. I saw every episode this weekend. That's what I did. But anyways, going back, I'm super excited. I do want a Beyond movie where they can at least introduce Terry McGinnis in it. Maybe not obviously just, you know, try to mix everything in there, but at least cameo him to maybe not be a Nick Fury, but to start that universe up or to start that story up, you know, because but it's a lot. I understand, like for comic books that isn't much because it's obviously drawn on paper and you're reading it is what it is. But for film, I know it is a lot. I'm fanboying right now. Like, you know, obviously my mind is going freaking everywhere. So it's insane.
I find Keaton's career super fascinating because this guy was on a roll in the late 80s into the early 90s with his Beetlejuice and his Batmans. And then he was just kind of hanging around for a while. You know, he would have a little role in Jackie Brown and a Tarantino movie. And then he kind of disappeared for a while. Like he had a small role in the other guys, like the Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell movie. And it's like, what's he doing in here? And
that's when he was doing his little comeback. He was with the other guys and on because he was like on a complete hiatus.
He was trying, and then out of nowhere, Birdman comes along, and Birdman like revitalizes his career. He thought he was going to win an Oscar for that. He had his speech ready. Birdman gets called up, and he's like, "Damn it, he should have won that Oscar." But he after that, it feels like Birdman was kind of like him accepting that's my past, and it's time to move on. But then he didn't win the Oscar, and now it was like, well, maybe I should go back to these movies that made me popular. So you see him in Spider-Man Homecoming. You see him in the trailer for Morbius, which is just out of nowhere. And now all of a sudden you're getting the news that he's willing to come back and play Batman again, or at least Bruce Wayne for the Flashpoint movie. I mean, he popped up in that CW Crisis show as on a piece of paper, and everyone went nuts.
On a piece of paper, yeah. That's what started it all, man.
So
it's a thing, though.
It's a different thing, but everyone went nuts for that. So I'm in on this. I love Michael Keaton, and the reason why I'm in on this is Andy Muschietti. I didn't like It Chapter 2 that much, but I got to talk to the man, and he's just very passionate about what he does, always thinking about the details and how to not just sit back on your morals and and actually like expand the story. And that's what he was focused on in I guess with the Flash coming up. So I'm really excited for what he has to offer for this. If he came up with this idea to get Michael Keaton back, imagine what else he has in mind for the future of these movies. I didn't really like Ezra Miller in Justice League. I didn't like Justice League. He wasn't the standout for me. But Muschietti's behind the camera, and then you have Michael Keaton coming in. I'm in. But another question I want to ask you guys is, because I feel like this is a big debate, who is your favorite Batman? What's your favorite Batman out of all of them that have been out there? You got Adam West, you got your Christian Bale, you got your Keaton, you got Val Kilmer, you got George Clooney. I mean,
No, we
It's
don't.
probably Clooney for me.
I knew it. No, who do you guys got?
It depends on the day you ask me, to be honest with you, because I think I went on a Batman little rampage last week where I didn't see the original. I didn't see not the original, but I didn't see the 89 one, but I saw Batman Returns, and right after Batman Returns, I saw Batman Begins, and I saw The Dark Knight, like practically back to back to back. And then I started watching Rises, and I turned it off, not because I hate it completely, but because I was tired and I was like, it's just too much. I haven't gotten back to it, but it's just, there's so much like give and take from Keaton that I really like. I like Keaton more. I believed him more in the suit, which nobody did when he first started, because he was a comedian and the whole Beetlejuice thing, and they're like, how are you gonna put him, on the suit? But I loved him as Batman, to be completely honest with you. When he was Bruce Wayne, I didn't buy him as the complete, like, playboy, what you read Bruce Wayne to be. I feel like Bale did kind of crush that. Not saying that Keaton did a bad job as Bruce Wayne, but I feel like Bale, with the whole detective, with the suave, with the way I don't know, I just liked, I think that Bale did a good job. He balanced both. He's kind of like the Tom Holland, where Tom Holland for me is a good Spider-Man, and he's a good Peter Parker. I feel like that's Bale. With Keaton, as much as I loved him as an actor, I liked him more as Batman than I did Bruce Wayne. So I guess I'm saying Bale, but I can't even say that out loud, too out loud. You know what I mean? Like I like them both so much, man. So
I don't know. He has to be Bale.
Huh?
For me, it has to be Christian Bale. Easily.
Yeah.
Like, I think he has the best trilogy out of any Batman. The one that had the perfect beginning, and even though Dark Knight Rises may not be great, I like that ending. That ending was actually an ending that I actually enjoyed a lot. Michael Keaton was also great, and I think had he maybe gotten a third film, maybe I can say, like, all right, you know what? Yeah, Michael Keaton deserves to be called the best Batman. But even if you look back at those Michael Keaton Batmans, they're kind of, it's weird. I think there's a seriousness to it, but still like a little bit of corniness, but it still felt kind of serious. And then it went off the rails with Kilmer and Clooney, and then.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing was that the third one was apparently too dark. That's why they Tim Burton walked off the project, because they were going. Imagine, parents complained about the Batman Returns. I remember my mom kind of. It's crazy, because I told you that my mom likes to take me to see all these violent movies, but as soon as she saw the penguin bite the guy's nose off, she's like, "What the hell?" Like, lost her mind in the theater, because again, I saw that in the theater as well. But I remember thinking that I remember kind of being creeped out by the penguin in the theater. DeVito did such a great job, and I remember being a little scared in the theater, where there's certain scenes where I was kind of like pushing back on my seat, and that's probably Returns was my favorite one growing up until Begins and Dark Knight came out. I still love that. I defend that movie like crazy. But going back and seeing what Burton did, and seeing the making of and all that stuff made part one kind of give the edge as I got older. But growing up, Returns for me was hands down the best one. It was completely like, and I told you, I've been liking these films since I was a kid. Like, I like dark, gritty films, and I loved how, like, again, Burton in the first one kind of like teased the darkness a little bit, but I feel like he went off the rails with the second one. If you notice, it kind of tries to stick to the same, but he does go darker. The second one is darker. It's bloodier. With that nose scene alone, I'm telling you, that scarred me as a kid. I remember when I got the movie on VHS, I was sometimes like fast forwarded because it would creep me out,
And we also have the iconic Catwoman scene too.
Yeah, no, and again, best Catwoman. She has not gotten top for me. Like, at all. It wasn't even close with Anne Hathaway. But yeah, again, what about you, Kyle? Where are you with the Batman talk?
So I thought a lot about this, and disclaimer right up top, I don't think we've had a definitive Batman. I don't think we've had the perfect Batman, like, Downey Jr. as Iron Man or Hugh Jackman as Logan. I don't think we've had the perfect person play the character yet. I think we've had a lot of good ones. I think every one of them, for the most part, has been good. But I thought about this. And Batman Returns, I don't think about Keaton. I think about the villains. I think about Jack Nicholson. I think about Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer. In the Dark Knight trilogy, I think of Cillian Murphy. I think of Heath Ledger, and I think of Tom Hardy. I don't really think about Christian Bale. So that brings me to Ben Affleck.
You're gonna throw me Affleck. I knew it. I knew you were gonna bring me Affleck.
And I'm not going to say Ben Affleck and Anthony left the show. I'm not going to say Ben Affleck in every movie. Just Batman vs. Superman, I think, is the best Batman performance we have gotten in any of these movies. He is the character you think about when you walk out of BVS, because BVS isn't that good, honestly. I mean, I think there's enjoyable parts to it. I think it's good. I want to see it again now that the Snyder Cut's coming out. I kind of want to give it another shot. But he would walking out. I was like, Ben Affleck was great in that movie. His warehouse scene was incredible. It's Bruce Wayne. He's very serious. He's big enough to be Batman. He really put in the work, weight wise, and all this stuff. And I thought he completely outdueled Henry Cavill. And Henry Cavill was great, but it was mostly a Batman movie. He outdueled Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, which anyone can do that.
Anyone did. Everyone in that film. Doomsday did that.
Yeah.
Doomsday was a better character.
So it brings me to Ben Affleck, which it sucks because in Justice League he was awful. I hated him in Justice League. He was not trying at all, which I think now with the Snyder Cut, maybe we're gonna get to see the stuff what he actually cared about. But I feel like we kind of missed the moment with Ben Affleck where he was only getting started, and I would take Ben Affleck's performance in Batman vs. Superman over Christian Bale and Batman Begins. And now imagine if Ben Affleck had 3 movies to improve Batman, just like Christian Bale did. I wonder. Also want to shout out Will Arnett, because I really think Lego Batman is awesome. I love that character. He's the best part of those movies. So he's not like someone I forget about, though. And then also we got to mention Adam West, because Adam West started this whole thing, and he was, good for what his role was given. Like that he was supposed to be a goofy Batman, and he made the character iconic.
Yeah. So you're not a Lego Batman fan, I take it? You didn't like that movie?
Look, there's very few movies that I can go watch, and I'll watch it all, even if it's a bad movie. I'll watch it all. The Lego movie, just the Lego movie, the first one. Everything is awesome.
Yeah.
Look, I used to go before I used to get screeners. I used to go to the movie theater early, like 12, matinee. Nobody bothers me. I'm like, you know what? I ran a blog at the time. I'm like, I'm gonna review it. It's not for me, but I'm gonna review it. Bro, the moment the police officer started to throw the chair thing, I walked out.
You destroyed? I'm like, you destroyed the movie?
No, I walked out. I walked out of the theater. I couldn't finish the movie. To this day, I still have not finished the movie. Every time I hear that song, I don't feel awesome.
You hear it throughout the whole movie, by the way. It doesn't stop.
Know. And then the thing is, for whatever reason, that became like the song of that year.
Yeah.
I remember it
was played at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Lonely Island sing it.
I was watching the Oscars, and I think it was like The Weeknd was also nominated for Earned It, and I'm like, I'm all in it for The Weeknd. And then right after that, you get Everything Is Awesome, and everybody's dressed as the character or whatever. And I wanted to turn it off. Like that movie. And I played with Legos. Like they're great.
All right, but time out. That's the Lego movie. That's completely different from Lego Batman. Did you not see Lego Batman?
No, because then Lego movie ruined everything. Lego.
Can you please watch Lego Batman?
Lego Batman is pretty good.
It took me 2 watches to see the Lego movie. I ended up liking it, to be completely honest, because I got annoyed with the beginning of the movie. Same thing, but I stuck through it, and it's actually a really good film. It's not. Are
there songs? Are there songs in the Batman?
They played "Died in Your Arms Tonight" when he first.
Yeah,
it's
like when he sees. Yeah, it's. I think you'll like it because it's so meta. It's very, very meta, and they mention movie like a bunch of Warner Brother projects and all that stuff.
They make fun of all the other.
Of all the other Batman movies. If you're a Batman fan, watch it because they have callbacks to like the first. That you want to go nuts. That they make fun of that. Like it's. So give it a shot. They have a
dick joke in there. Like
yes, they have a dick joke in there.
Part of the movie where
the whole theater. Don't even tell him. Like let him watch it. The whole theater lost. Like adults were losing it. I thought that movie was actually really good. I haven't seen it in its entirety again.
Yeah,
I've only seen it once, but I remember it so well because I thought it was just a great, and the opening sequence to that movie, the opener, is like you're ready for what you're gonna get, and I promise you, it's no songs or anything like that. It's a great opener. Promise you, I guarantee. I'm guarantee you're gonna like it. If there's any Lego movie that you're gonna like, it's gonna be that one. I couldn't finish Lego Movie Part 2. I couldn't do it. I tried. The kids love it, but no, I didn't like it, dude. The first 10, 20 minutes, I was like, no, I'm just gonna not taint the first movie.
I'll say this, Lego Ninjago's bad. You don't need to see Lego Ninjago. But the other, I enjoy the other three.
Yeah. Anywho, Affleck as Batman. Yes, I agree with you to a certain point. I thought he was great. I felt like Snyder wanted to make a Batman film, not a Superman film. But they're like, hey, you got to work on Man of Steel 2, or you can't get this project. So he's like, screw it, we're gonna do this. That's what I feel happened with that, because Batman is my favorite DC character, as cliche as it sounds, because it's everybody's DC character, but I really do love Batman that much. And I was happy that I got that much, but I felt like it was, as much as I loved Man of Steel, I felt like he got shortchanged completely. I felt like you didn't get, and you get a little bit more Clark Kent in the director's cut versus more Superman, and again, it fills in some gap. But I loved when that movie ended, I was really meh. I was kind of upset with it, and I was like, but Affleck kicked ass. Affleck did kick ass in that movie. Him and Wonder Woman were my favorite things about that film, to be completely honest with you, because when you see her at the end, it just wanted me to see. I just wanted to see a Wonder Woman movie like the next day, or a solo Affleck film, which I still have hopes for, but it's obviously, I think that ship sailed already. But I was still kind of like, I want a solo Affleck film, because again, that little tease that we got, and I completely agree with you, Kyle, because I think I've said it on this show before how much I hated him in Justice League. Like, they made him a bitch in that movie.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. So, guys, Michael Keaton's back as Batman. It's pretty much official. If THR, the Hollywood Reporter, is reporting it, they don't get stuff wrong. So believe it, this is happening. And the only thing I would be hesitant about is that the Flash movie even happens at this point, because that movie's been pushed back so many times. We had Lord and Miller, we had Rick Famuyiwa, we had the Goldstein and Francis Daly from Game Night. Like, it feels like everybody's been on this movie. So hopefully Anthony Muschietti holds on. We'll see what happens. Let's get to our movie of the week. Anthony suggested that we do a sci-fi film, and he put out two options, and we filled in the other four. And one of the two options that Anthony put in actually won. We had Source Code on there. We had RoboCop on there. We had, what else was on there, Jader? Can you remember?
Looper was on there. Source Code. Obviously Edge of Tomorrow. We had, what the hell else was it? I don't know, man.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but we
had some good ones on there.
Edge of Tomorrow won the poll. Oh, what's up?
I think Terminator also was on there.
No, I don't think we
definitely didn't put Terminator. Definitely didn't put Terminator.
But Edge of Tomorrow won the poll, and I was honestly surprised that it did, because I know this movie has like a cult following, but it wasn't like gangbusters at the box office when it came out. This movie wasn't. I think it's only gained popularity over time. Ever since it's come out on Blu-ray and stuff throughout the years. 2014, Tom Cruise just wraps up with his other sci-fi film in Oblivion, comes in, does Edge of Tomorrow, and then people are wondering, what is this movie with Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt? It's just another sci-fi film that he's doing again. And this movie's awesome. This movie's a ton of fun. It's a spin on Groundhog Day, but in the sci-fi realm. And if you give me Groundhog Day and anything, I will watch it, because I think that's a fascinating concept. You have stuff like Groundhog Day, Edge of Tomorrow, the Happy Death Day movies. We got one coming out on Hulu in 2 weeks called Palm Springs that looks like a comedy. So this concept works. So Tom Cruise takes it and puts it into this sci-fi alien war. And I was locked in it, which I'm really surprised at. And I don't. Did you guys get to see this movie in theaters when it came out, Anthony and Jader?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
And what was it like?
So sorry to jump in there, but
Yeah, go ahead. That's a question.
I get so excited with this. All right, so this was kind of like a John Wick feel for me. I saw the trailer for this movie and I was like, all right, whatever, typical sci-fi film. Don't care too much about it. I'm gonna say it, but this was before I started reviewing films. I used to get screeners. I've been getting screeners for a long time, or screeners. I don't know, screenings. And Edge of Tomorrow was one that I was actually going to skip because it was at Miami Beach. And I'm so glad I went because, again, this was a movie that I was not looking forward to. And I think this is the big reason why this movie is so has that cult following or is so loved is because you don't think anything of it. Oblivion was released the year before that. That was the last sci-fi film that Tom Cruise did. So everybody has kind of like that bad. I don't know how you guys felt about it. I still haven't finished that movie because I thought it was crap.
Yeah, it was really good, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you like Oblivion too?
I'm not gonna lie, but that's a different discussion. Keep going.
Yeah, no. Without so again, just like Kyle said earlier, this for me was I got a lot of movies watching this, but it was like Groundhog Day for sure, obviously. But you also have like kind of taste with like Aliens and Starship Troopers, which is the other film that my cousin took me to see, which was uber violent, and Source Code, which was in the poll as well, because I know Kyle hasn't seen Source Code, and I think that movie is fantastic too.
Oh man, you're missing.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But I felt like Tom Cruise owed us for what we got with Oblivion. Again, I couldn't finish it. I know you don't feel the same, but just the opening scene to this film where not the opening scene, but just like the first 10-15 minutes of this movie where this guy doesn't want to get his hands dirty. It's not your typical Tom Cruise, not your typical character where he usually plays like the Ethan Hunt or the badass, and he's like a pencil pusher that doesn't want to get his hands dirty. He's not the hero at first, and then he gets forced into like basically like what you see in Saving Private Ryan, which is like Normandy Beach but with aliens, and it's insane everything that he's seeing. It's just so fantastic. I'm gonna let you guys talk a little bit more. It's refreshing to me that a movie that is like because Groundhog Day did it with like comedy. Obviously it used it as a comedy tool, the whole repeating and him being frustrated and all this stuff. But this kind of felt like a video game where you had to like respawn and he's doing these things and he has to do it again and then it doesn't work out and he has to respawn. It was just refreshing that a movie that is very repetitive in the beginning keeps you so intrigued. I felt like that was like kudos to them for me wanting to keep seeing just a little bit more every time. I didn't mind them killing him again because the first time I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because again, you don't know what's happening and you're getting a little bit more and a little bit of a piece of the puzzle, a little bit piece of the puzzle. So I thought that worked out really well. I'm gonna let you guys talk more before I like review the whole thing. So go ahead, jump on.
Anthony. Yeah, no. I remember going to the theater watching that for whatever reason. I think I'm one of the only people that when Tom Cruise comes out with a movie that isn't Mission Impossible, I'm still very excited to see it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I remember going to the theater with my dad, and my dad's at that point 6 years ago, he was late 70s at that point. And we're watching it, and I'm into the movie because it does feel like a video game, like the restart, and again, and then trying to learn from your mistakes and everything. And my dad's like, "What's going on? Like, he just died. What's going on?" And I got to kind of like whisper to him, the thing that's happening, and then we, try to catch up. So for me, I really did enjoy it, and I actually was excited to see him do another sci-fi movie because I did like Oblivion. But it was. I don't know, it was surprising because I remember going into the movie more interested in the aliens and what they would be like. And then I left the movie more interested in the plot and how they kind of like maneuvered the whole thing and the concept of going back in time, but through how they used it with the alien themselves. Like you have to kill like the boss, like the main boss of the game is like this, blue alien. If you kill him, then you're able to respawn and everything. And I love the looming threat because there was a portion in the middle rewatching it where I felt like, all right, but they can't lose. Like if you keep restarting, you could always find a way to win. But the blood transfusion idea, that was really intriguing. I think that was actually pretty innovative for them to throw in there. But overall, I remember watching that movie and feeling disheartened that the movie did not make as much money as I think it should have.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. Is they are working on a sequel on this apparently, which we'll get to eventually. Because I found the ideas for what they want to do. But Tom Cruise was coming off of not just Oblivion, but Jack Reacher and Rock of Ages, so he was kind of struggling.
3 hits. What are you talking about? 3 hits.
Oh, 3 hits.
Jack Reacher wasn't bad, and Rock of Ages. I'm a sucker for 80s rock, man. So I did. That's one of the few musicals that I can say that I like. I didn't say it's not It's not exactly. It's not anything crazy to me, but a movie where I know the songs and I can sing along, man. Before I'm down for that, man. And again, and he was great as Stacey Jacks, man. So, but Oblivion,
pump the brakes.
Oblivion for me was the not so good. I was so bored watching that movie.
Well, let me say something. I don't want to talk about Cruise right now. Who I walked out of this movie loving was Emily Blunt. She is the best part of this movie, in my opinion. I remember when we did for a top 10, we did the top 10 best female action characters. We had, people like Ripley up there, and we had Sarah Connor, your usuals. Rita was on the list, and that's because she's so awesome in this movie. So like you brought up before, Jader, that Tom Cruise is usually this well-capable guy in all his films that he can do, basically everything. He always survives. The reason why Doug Liman wanted him to do this movie is because he's playing a character that's not good at what he does. He's actually really bad at what he does. He designs these suits and then gets thrown out into the war. And you meet up with someone who is very capable, and Emily Blunt's Rita, and she just draws your attention immediately. You want to get back to her every single time. You want to skip every time the day resets. You want to skip Tom Cruise saying hi to everybody and reintroducing himself just so you can get back to Emily Blunt so you can learn more about her. And then as the movie goes on, it's more of her story, it feels like. You're hearing about how she lost it seems like a husband or boyfriend in the war, and how, she's this person that they look up to in the war. They got Full Metal Bitch written everywhere because she's such a revered character. And then you find out that, which is one of the more awesome twists I've seen in a movie lately, is the reason why she's so good is because she has so many attempts, because she also had the day to reset. So when that twist happens, she says, "Come find me when you wake up." That's when you get locked into the movie, because you're like, "Oh,
absolutely.
This thing has a plot. This thing knows where it's going." It keeps resetting itself when it feels like it's starting to get a little slow. So, like, when you guys think of Emily Blunt, actually, you know what? Let's kind of get to the categories right now, because it will allow us more time to get into Emily Blunt, because I'm sure she's going to pop up a lot more. Let's start with the first one. Oh, go ahead, Jader.
So what I'm just going to throw a wrench at your talk right now. I feel that she is so great in this film, but I feel like she's kind of underutilized. Like, I wanted to see more of her, because for her, she's like training him. And I know we got, I don't know. I feel like they did put her, like, her character is such a badass, but I feel like the central character was Tom Cruise, and we're seeing his mission and her training him because she can't do that no more. I wanted to see more of her. And don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on her whatsoever, because I thought their chemistry was great. But I feel like because of the whole Full Metal Bitch and how she comes out of the signs and everything, like in the big, walls, and she's painted and all that, I wanted to see more of her in the suits and see that. And I feel like we only get like maybe 1 or 2 scenes with that, besides the training that she does.
Well, there's a reason for the suit. Apparently the thing weighs 85 pounds. And she was pregnant at the time while filming this with her first child. So she was someone who was into doing all her own stunts, and then she became pregnant. And only Tom Cruise knew about it. Tom Cruise, John Krasinski are only two who knew about it, because she stopped doing her own stunts. Cruise was like, "What's going on? We always do our own stunts." Because you know how crazy Tom Cruise is. And she's like,
he's like, "Come on, bro, we got this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony, when you think about Emily Blunt, then, like, what do you think about her in this film?
It's funny because, like, when I saw in the trailers, because you got to remember, like, 2014, she still hadn't popped yet. She wasn't like everybody knew who she was, but she wasn't a superstar or anything. I think it was after this movie that she kind of, like, everybody's like, "Hey, you know what? Maybe we should pay more attention to her." I think after this, maybe a film or two later, she did Sicario, and then
So the one that she caught me in, look wise, was
Looper?
Looper was right before. So for me, it was I loved her in the Wolfman.
Oh wow.
And I was like, who is that? And then obviously, yeah, exactly.
Well, also another one I should throw in there is A Devil Wears Prada. I think
Yeah.
she's pretty great in
See,
that.
saw that movie once and I completely forgot that she was in that. I like she wasn't for me. It was Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep. Sorry. So that for me was these standouts in those films. But then I saw Looper, and when I saw Looper, she was great in that. And I feel like that's another very underrated film. That's why I voted for Looper, because it's a movie that I want to review as well. And then seeing her in this, and everybody when she does that little scene where she's coming up, man, it's just like hard eyes for me
every time.
every time. Yeah. Yes, dude. So and again, she was great. But I didn't know about the whole pregnancy thing. But for her being such a badass character, I felt like she was kind of put to the side. Besides a couple scenes, I wanted to see more of that. That's actually one, and it's not her fault. That's more of something I blame on, direction or writing or whatever, what have you. It's one of the two things that I don't like about this film. Not like, but my cons, if you will. My cons about. So that's one of the cons, and then we'll get to my second con. So go ahead.
Another thing I wanted to say about Emily Blunt was that, like, so often we talk about like how female characters need to be more empowered in movies and stuff like that, but sometimes it feels like it's just spoon-fed. Like, oh, look, she's really powerful, she's really skilled, or whatever. This one, it just felt with ease. Like, you just look at the character and you bought in immediately.
For sure.
No, there was never a moment where I'm like, yeah, but I'm not buying you as this character. She just, I don't know. There was just a genuineness in that performance as well, where I can buy her into being like this sympathetic character, because she and Tom Cruise end up having a bit of a romance, obviously. But in the beginning, she's such a hard-shelled person and a great soldier and everything. So I think that type of female empowerment, those types of characters, those are the ones that I think are easier to buy into, and you kind of, just believe in a little bit more.
Yeah.
So let's start this these categories. Best scene is our first one on here, and it's hard to choose a scene because every scene is the same scene in a way. But I'm curious to which direction you guys took this in. So Jader, I want to start with you, man. What scene did you choose for best scene?
The opening scene for me. For me, and it was, again, it's kind of when you're watching the movie, you're not expecting too much of it, and just seeing the craziness of everything that's going on, and then boom, they hit you with like, when we obviously I saw the trailer, I knew that he was gonna come back. I didn't think that movie was gonna be as crazy as it was. At least that opening scene, and then seeing him, doing it over and over again. But just that beginning scene for me was just so impactful. It was like, I don't want to compare it to Saving Private Ryan, but it kind of does have that feel, because every time I watch this movie, I look forward to watching this. There's a bunch of other scenes, but the beginning, every time I pop in this movie or I've seen it, I'm always like, man, I can't wait. Especially if I'm showing this movie I saw this movie recently, because my girlfriend had never seen it. I probably saw it less than a month ago. It was during the quarantine. I'm like, "You've never seen it?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan." I'm like, "Just sit down, just watch this movie for me very quick." And she ended up loving this movie. I actually told her we were reviewing it, and she goes, "Man, that's such a great movie, and I got to see it again." And I remember when we were watching it, I was kind of like waiting for her to see, because she saw the movie without seeing a single trailer. So imagine how much more mind blowing it was for her. But I love seeing that scene, that beach scene, everything going freaking haywire, and then him waking up and not knowing what the hell is going on. I was like, man, this is nuts.
Here, go ahead, Anthony.
For me, again, it would be the opening scene as well, simply because it's really only in that scene where you see Tom Cruise as like a coward. It's really like the main scene where you see him like, wow, this is the Tom Cruise that we never see. He's afraid, he's all this, but at the same time in that scene, I have a big con in that scene. In that whole scene, you hear him saying like, "Hey, how do I turn off the safety?"
Yeah,
like, guys, help him out. Like, just like, I understand you may not like the dude, but you guys are going to war. At least tell him, how to turn off the safety. That just
we're gonna get into that with the category of things that I don't understand because that's one of them. Yeah.
But another scene that I actually really liked, just so I could pick a different one, was when him and Emily Blunt go to the general's office to try to convince him of the plan, and they're walking out, and Emily's like, "Well, now what?" And he's like, "I don't know. We never made it this far."
We haven't got this far. Yeah.
I remember laughing because I'm like, this feels such like because like as when I used to play video games, like I used to say that all the time, like I finally made it past this level, but I don't know what the hell's gonna happen now. So I thought that was such a like great little writing, great little touch with that. So for me, it's like those two scenes that I really end up really liking.
So for a while, I had The Third Day as my pick when he goes to actually after Emily Blunt says, find me when you wake up, and then that day when they're getting to introduce each other and he's learning about all what this all actually is. I had that, but then today before coming on here, it was on the Sci-Fi channel, just randomly out of nowhere, and the scene that I turned on was the helicopter scene in the middle where they're at this little shack and right after they escape from the truck and they're at the shack and there's a helicopter right outside and she's saying, go find the keys, we got to get in this helicopter and go. And he's very hesitant to do it. He's saying, oh, you like this coffee, have this coffee, you like sugar, oh, you like 3 sugars. And it clicks for her that, wait a minute, how many times have we been here before? Why are you delaying? What's going on? And it's because she doesn't make it farther to them.
Doesn't make it.
She died. She's supposed to die there. And I'm a big fan of vulnerable Tom Cruise. The "You Complete Me" scene and Jerry Maguire is awesome. I always go back.
Jesus Christ, bro.
But when she gets pissed off and starts walking out, she goes, "Why does it matter if I die?" And he says, "Because I met you, and I wish I hadn't." It's awesome. I love those two together. That's where their chemistry comes together. And throughout all the shooting and explosion stuff, we finally get a quiet moment for these two to sit down and get to know each other. And that's when she tells him finally her middle name. And Jader, here's your movie trivia schmodown question, man. What's her?
Don't ask me, bro. Don't ask me.
Middle name?
No, not right now. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Anthony, do you know this?
Wait, ask the question. What is it?
What's Rita's middle name?
Oh my God. Wait, man. Rose? Rose?
Yes, it is Rose. It's Rose. And that's the key. God. That's the key to get, Tom Cruise to be able to convince her every single time afterwards. Like, you just please listen to me. Is she never tells her middle name to anyone, and she finally does in that scene. It's Rose. So yeah, this is that's my favorite scene in the movie now, is that helicopter scene right before it. But let's move on to the next one. Best line. I think there's an obvious one here, but also a couple of fun ones. Here's some nominees for you guys. You obviously got "On Your Feet, Maggot." That's a fun line. I found one that I really like called where Tom Cruise says, "I'm not a soldier," and Emily Blunt says, "Of course not. You're a weapon." That's a cool one to think about. I love Bill Paxton and Tom Cruise having their little back and forth when Tom Cruise says, "You from the United States?" He goes, "No, I'm from Kentucky." Those are 3 of my nominees. Do you guys have any ones that stick out to you, or would you choose any of those 3?
Comedic purposes, I would choose the Kentucky one, but the one I always think about is "On Your Feet, Maggot," because it was like nonstop the first time you see that movie,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely I would agree with those. I saw this movie. I busy week. I didn't see it. I didn't see it this week. But I wish I had written more lines down. But "On Your Feet, Maggot" would have been it. To be completely honest with you, just because again, when the first time I saw that movie, actually when I got out, I remember I was saying it like to people, like, "On your feet, maggot." As soon as I got out of the movie, man. So, yeah.
No, for me, it would be the Kentucky line was actually really funny, and also it would again have to be that line where he's like, "We've never made it this far before."
Yeah.
That line for me, still every time I hear that line, it makes me laugh. And I've watched the movie at least 4 times. I've seen that movie, and every time and I know the scene's coming, but every time it comes up, I always laugh every time. So.
Another one that just popped in my head was "Come Find Me When You Wake Up," because that's the moment where everything changes in the film. So that's another one that sticks out to me. Let's skip to I have casting what ifs here. There's only one for this one, so we can get through this real quick.
Okay.
Can you think of the big name actor, like top of the list actor, who's at the same level as Tom Cruise, who was offered for this role? Can you think of one name?
Don't say The Rock.
No, it wasn't The Rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
See him do that movie.
Like this is a mega A-list person that this role was offered to.
Was it Matt
I'll
Damon?
just say it. No, it was not Matt Damon. And Matt Damon actually probably would have been good, but he kind of got Elysium after this.
Yeah, no, that's
Brad
right.
Pitt.
It was Elysium.
Who?
Oh shit.
Brad Pitt
Brad
turned
Pitt.
it down. Yeah. So Doug Liman offered this to Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt had to decline. Obviously, he had just come off of World War Z, which wasn't exactly his biggest hit. So I think he was kind of hesitant to step into this. And I think it worked out for the best because Tom Cruise is really good in this movie. So that's your one cast and what if I could find.
But I hate hearing that because now I'm going to be thinking like, damn, Brad Pitt would have.
It would work.
Oh.
Brad Pitt, right? Any role you put him in, though, that's not fair.
Yeah, but
any role you put him in.
Worked. That would have worked really well.
Yeah. That would have worked.
He would have been good. Let's move on to the Mahershala Ali Award for Best Sharpshooter. I think there's only one winner for this. There's only one option, and I would kind of want to hear what you guys have to say, but I think we're all going in the same place here. Anthony, who wins this award?
What is this one again?
So this is the person who's only in a couple scenes but leaves a big impact every time they're in. Like they're coming. Like if you want to think basketball, they're coming off the bench and they hit like 5 threes in 10 minutes.
For me, it's Bill Paxton.
That's the answer.
That's the answer. That's the answer. It's Bill Paxton, bro. He crushes this role, man. He crushes this role.
So bad. Like watching the movie again and knowing that sadly he's passed away.
Yeah.
Ah man, because he does a great job in the movie, and I actually felt bad that he wasn't in that final sequence when they're going to the Louvre.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of it would have worked kind of if they had like asked him to put, since he always worked with that crew. I felt kind of weird that he wasn't there in that scene. I thought it would have been beneficial, maybe.
Yeah, this is Bill Paxton's award to walk away with. Because he carries Cruz through that first sequence at the beginning, and then every time Cruz is like saying, "All right, it's in your left pocket. You're from Kentucky," blah blah blah, and his facial reactions every time, it's funny. This is Bill Paxton's award. Let's move on to the Bill Murray Award for Best Cameo. There's not a lot here. Because I don't think most of the people in the J Squad or anything are very memorable. I went with Erin Burnett from CNN. She's doing her broadcast because like, hey, that's Erin Burnett. So I'm curious what you guys came up with here because I don't think there's too many options.
Mine isn't even a cameo. When I was looking at the IMDb, I was thinking Brendan Gleeson because he's not in a lot of scenes, but he's not a cameo. You know, he's in 2-3 scenes in the film, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, so that would have been my choice because again, this is kind of like even though I haven't seen the film, but very Dunkirky, where you have your, besides Blunt, Paxton, and Tom Cruise, you don't have anybody else that's really memorable in the film. You get me? So he did his job. It wasn't really a cameo, but he wasn't in the film too much. He did his thing and it was off, you know. But he wasn't. But I wouldn't even call that a sharpshooter because that obviously goes to Paxton. Mm-hmm. So Gleason would be mine. But this movie, you can kind of like make the argument that this movie doesn't really have one, a cameo like that. So
I don't know. I guess like you're right. But if I'm just gonna like throw one out, the guy that's like balls out all the time. Oh shit, I remember him definitely.
Yeah.
And he died so many times, and that's another scene that I laughed at. Like Tom Cruise tried to save him 2 times.
He's like, he was like,
you're done. You're just gonna die.
And there's a scene where he just kind of like, and he just lets him go. One of the things that I actually did want to mention was when I said the whole video game feel. What I loved is how this movie starts off with him being, again, the not the hero. It's not any role that we've ever seen Tom Cruise in. But then you have when he's already like us playing a video game. Once you already know where they're coming from, where he's like boom, boom, just like doing all this cool shit where he already knows where the aliens are coming. I thought that was so badass and such a great touch with this movie. But yeah, go ahead. Next one.
So let's do the Gary Oldman Everyone Award for overacting based on Gary Oldman and Leon the Professional. I went with every member of J Squad. Those guys are all dialed up to 15.
Yeah, dude.
I think there's one other guy who could go in, but I mean, Anthony, who do you have for this award?
It's one person from J Squad for me, just one. Because like every time I see him, I'm like, you're annoying me every single time. It's the Nance character, the one that has like the deep country accent for no reason. Like she's talking to Tom Cruise and she eats like the card real quick.
Oh yeah.
She yells, "Can y'all just like eat something of shut the hell up?" I'm like, you shut.
You know what? I second that. I second that completely, dude. Yeah, she annoyed that crap out of me. That whole scene in the beginning, I was just like, why? Why is this happening?
Like she's so intense.
Yeah, they're all bad.
And even the guy that I'm really not a fan of his, he's in that CW show, the superhero one.
Legends of Tomorrow. The I forget what his name is. Yeah.
They intertwines with the professor or whatever. He's not a good, at least for me. That dude is not a good actor. He was actually all right. Like, it didn't bother me in this one. But Nance was horrible.
The guy from Legends of Tomorrow gives one, like when they're on the ship at the end trying to go through, and he's like, "We gotta go." That's the only thing I remember out of him. Jader, do you have anyone, or you went with the same character as
Yeah, dude.
The only other nominee I got here is the On Your Feet maggot guy, because he's bringing heat every single time. So that's the other.
No, but he did better than Nance, man.
He did. He did. I thought he should be mentioned in it though. Interesting details I found. I kind of mentioned all of them. I got a couple of funny ones in here though. Emily Blunt. So the scene where they're driving the truck and the thing comes out of the an RV in the back. Emily Blunt, when they were filming it, missed her mark when she's supposed to rip it hard and crashed into a tree and almost killed Tom Cruise. So that could have been pretty bad. Even though he broke an ankle later in a Mission Impossible movie, that might have been his closest call.
Jesus.
What else we got here? This is the most Tom Cruise thing I've ever seen. Tom Cruise spent over $100,000 on the wrap party for the crew and didn't show up.
That's a baller move.
That's Tom
Cruise.
Cruise.
It's a baller move. That's a baller move.
Apparently, he says he was filming additional scenes for this film, but I mean, come on, Tom. If your crew is at this rap party, who's filming these scenes?
Who's filming? Yeah. You know what's crazy? I didn't know that. That's actual. What happened?
What's cooler than throwing a party that you don't even attend?
Exactly.
Yeah. And, paying, catering, and doing everything, and not showing up. No, apparently it's a thing. I was watching the Little Dicky show, right?
Yes, I was just going to bring that up. Bieber.
The Bieber thing.
Yeah,
dude. So Justin Bieber invites Little Dicky to his party. So Little Dicky's girlfriend's like obsessed with Justin Bieber and all that stuff, and he's like, "Oh, but I can't bring you because he invited me. I don't want to be that guy that brings a +1 to a party. I can't bring you." And then he ends up going to the party by himself, and Bieber's not even there. And then the guy, I forgot who it was. Oh, it was a DJ, his producer,
Eddie Blanco. Yeah.
Eddie Blanc, and he goes, "Hey, well, where's your girlfriend?" He goes, "I didn't know I can bring a +1, man." And he goes, "Where's Bieber?" He's like, "Well, he's not here. He never comes to these things." So it's funny that you mentioned that now.
Kourtney Kardashian shows up. I think she was actually pretty funny in those scenes.
Yeah, she was. She was pretty good.
One other quick, interesting detail, which is kind of ominous. This movie takes place in 2020, so just something to keep in mind. It's not like it's a far-fetched thing at this point with the way 2020 is going.
July's coming next month, man. Aliens love interrupting us during July, so it's probably going to be the thing now.
All right, questions that I have that for things in the film that don't make sense. I have a lot. There's a lot of these things that I don't get. Biggest one, why does Brendan Gleeson send him on the beach in the first place? This guy designed the suits. Why is he being a soldier and going out into the field on the front line of the wave that's supposed to be your big victory parade? Can anyone answer that?
To move the plot.
That's always confused me. The plot. I've wondered that every single time I've watched this. Like, why is he putting him there? What did he do?
That was the thing, because they kept calling him a deserter. I'm like, well, what did he do to maybe if there was like some sort of scene, some sort of background. It honestly just came out like, yo, I don't like your attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is, where he was like, oh, this pretty boy's gonna learn today. Pretty much is what he was saying.
Yeah. I guess so. Another question. So these aliens kind of arrive on a meteor you see at the beginning. Wouldn't a meteor wipe out most of the Earth? Like as big as all those aliens are, like on one pod, wouldn't it wipe out a lot?
Yeah.
Now we're nitpicking. I feel like
that's what this is. It's kind of nitpicking. Like we enjoy the film, but we have questions. So at the end when he gets J Squad to join him, how does he sneak out J Squad without anybody seeing them leaving?
Stop nitpicking, bro. Because they need to end the movie.
Because how did he leave the first time? He left that one time to go to the pub, and we never saw how he went.
Well, because he's repeated the day so many times that he knows how to get out of there. But at this point, when J Squad he needs their help, he's lost the ability. So I'm just wondering how they got them all off the base without anybody noticing. What else we got here? When the assistant walks into Brendan Gleeson's office and Tom Cruise knows her birthday, I don't know when he took the time to figure out when her birthday was. Because he's never gotten that far.
Didn't they show that they've done that over and over again? They probably didn't show the scene, but they never got past that. I feel like they've been to that room with Gleeson a lot of times where he knows her birthday,
and they've heard the conversation's probably turned like 1,000 different ways.
Yeah,
and it's probably popped up.
Yeah. Okay. Another thing, Tom Cruise's teeth are very white in this movie. Just something I noticed. And
this guy, bro.
One more thing. So this goes into what Anthony was saying earlier. He designs the suits. How come he doesn't know how to turn the safety off?
I thought. Are you sure that he was the one that like created the suit, or was he the one that was selling the suit?
Okay, see, I don't know the answer to that question. I never thought of that way. I thought he designed these suits.
I think his job was like more like a media relations guy. So he was going like that's why we saw him like on CNN, like talking about like, oh, you know, this in the horrible CGI, by the way. I think they just put him like in a panel, like, look, anchors, everybody move here. We're gonna leave this empty space, and Tom, I am here. Tom, talk in this direction, and but I think it was just that. I think he was more like the guy that's trying to sell you.
I actually asked myself the same question when I saw it this last time, where I was like, didn't he design the suit? How did he just not know how to work the safety?
Yeah.
But it was one of those, I'm like, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, let it go. Okay, let's get to the big one. Let's get to Apex Mountain. So Apex Mountain, this is the pinnacle of someone's career. That at this movie, they're at the height of their powers. They can do whatever they want in Hollywood and make any choices they want. This is the best they're ever going to get in their career. Is anybody in this film have an Apex Mountain? Mm-mm. Tom Cruise, no. I think Tom Cruise has a lot of other options. Emily Blunt, I say no also, unless someone else has her on here. I mean, Anthony, did you have anyone written down for this?
Because now I'm thinking about Emily Blunt, but I mean, because again, this was the movie that really put her into like the category of like a must-see actress. And I think every other film has been a supplement because of this movie. Had she not done this movie, she wouldn't have been able to have done the other ones.
Yeah, but it's not her top film. Maybe it catapulted her to where she is now.
What other film?
But Apex
of this.
I'm sorry, I love Sicario way more than I love this film, and I love her performance in Sicario way more than I love this one. And don't get me wrong, I love this film, but I think Sicario is just on another level.
But then, do you that movie more for Benicio del Toro or her?
It's her, man. I mean, I love Del Toro. Don't get me wrong, but I think she kills that role. I think she's fantastic in it, man. So that's just me. I don't know. Again, this is my opinion. You can have it. It's
for me,
so
like,
you can pick her.
Because again, I think she is like an Oscar caliber actress. I think she still has much better things to do, much better projects to do. But for now, when I look back on her films, and Mary Poppins was all right. Like it was.
Mary Poppins is incredible, Anthony. I don't know what you're doing. See, I had 2018 as Emily Blunt's Apex Mountain. You got A Quiet Place and Mary Poppins Returns. I think that's her apex so far in her career, and she's only getting better from here. I mean, she got nominated for a Golden Globe and a SAG Award for Mary Poppins, and she was probably sixth in the voting for the Oscars when it came to nominations. So I really love Mary Poppins Returns. And then A Quiet Place stole the year. Everyone was talking about that movie the entire year. Quiet Place 2 is coming out later this year. She's going to be leading that. I think her apex is to come, but if we're talking about her career right now, I think 2018 is the answer. As Bert said in the chat, Bill Paxton, rest in peace. This is not his apex mountain. He's just having fun in this movie. Brendan Gleeson, no. I think Doug Liman's the person we need to have a discussion about.
So that's who I have written down. I have Doug Liman written down. However, I do like those Bourne movies, man. You get me? Like, I do. I'm a sucker for those films, just like I'm a sucker for Mission Impossible. I had Doug Liman written down, but I even have him with a question mark written down, because as much as this movie blew my mind and it wasn't anything I was expecting, and I feel like that they have a source material for this. This was a comic book, if I'm not mistaken.
Graphic novel,
yeah, it's a graphic novel, so they already had that. But the direction, where the director is, honestly, if we're gonna give an award for who did the best, but that's who I have actually for another award. I kind of have Lyman for that award. Who won the film?
That's the only one left.
Yeah. So we'll get to that. So I mean, I had Lyman written down until I started thinking about the Bourne movies, you know. But had the Bourne movies not existed, I would probably be his top film for me. It's just overall, it's a great and I think he's directing the sequel, right?
Yeah, at least he's still on board to do it.
Yeah, because look, I'm gonna go over his filmography very quick, and we have this movie called.
I got it right here for you, man. You got Swingers is really his first big one that gets him off the ground, and you got your Bourne movies, and then it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is a big name movie, but it's not.
I like that movie. No, I actually enjoy that movie a lot.
Okay,
it's fun.
Jumper, fun. You got on there, and then.
Do you guys remember Busta Rhymes?
Yeah,
of course.
For Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
No, I don't remember that.
No.
Yeah.
He had a music video?
He plays Mr. Smith, and Gabriel Union, I think, plays Mrs. Smith.
Oh, okay, but it's not for the soundtrack. It's for his own Busta Rhymes song, right?
I don't know. Like
I think that's because I've seen that, but I don't think it's for the soundtrack. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think it's for the soundtrack. I think that's just a Busta Rhymes song that they decided to do a video based off of the film.
All right, never mind.
It's great though.
Never mind.
So he goes from Mr. and Mrs. Smith to Jumper to a movie called Fair Game, which I've never seen, and then Edge of Tomorrow. But after that, I don't think he's ever really gotten back to Edge of Tomorrow. American Made was good. I really liked American Made.
American Made was excellent, man, and I think Tom Cruise was fantastic in that.
But it's not better than this movie.
But it's not better than Edge of Tomorrow. No. Again, and this is what, when I was thinking Lyman, I thought about Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jumper, and this. And then I'm like, no, he did Bourne, and I keep going to the Bourne movie. Had Identity not been there, I promise you, this would have been it. But I think just because of Edge of Tomorrow, and it's just my love for spy films and all that. So that's the only reason why. But I did have him as his apex. But
I think you put this as apex because by all accounts, it's not getting much better for him. Chaos Walking is a film that's been in development hell for years now. It's with Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland, which by all accounts is supposed to be one of the worst movies ever made, which is why this thing hasn't came out. Yeah, it's got terrible buzz around it for like 3 years now. I don't think it's ever going to see the light of day. So he has that. He has the sequel to this on his IMDb coming up. And he also has the Tom Cruise going to space movie. He's working with SpaceX and Elon Musk. He's supposed to be directing that. So we'll see. That could be a complete disaster also.
It's going to be Oblivion.
Basically.
No, man.
The sequel to this movie, though, I mean, we can talk about it real quick. Where do they go from here? Because what I picked up when I was watching this film was the guy who Emily Blunt is friends with, who like knows about the repeat days thing, brings up that there could be hundreds of thousands of these same meteors up in space and that they come down and they just take over worlds. Please don't go in that direction if you're the sequel. Don't just make like, all right, let's times it by 1,000 and say there's tons of these meteors out there. I think you leave this thing be. I don't want to see a sequel to this. I think this movie is good as it is. And I don't know. I feel like they could really mess it up if they try this again.
I agree. I agree. I honestly wasn't too thrilled when I found out they were making this film because I thought, well, we haven't talked. I haven't talked about my last con, and I don't know if you guys have any more before I jump in this.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. So my the last 30 minutes of this movie for me just it doesn't hold up to the caliber of film we had at first.
I'm with you.
I feel like the movie skyrockets and it kind of just it dips. It's not that it like planked. It doesn't pummel or anything like that. It just it's I felt like the ending was very Hollywood. Everything's okay. You know, there was no really big crazy repercussions in the film or anything like that. And it's only the ending. It's the very like last 20 minutes, 30 minutes is probably extending it. It's probably the last 20 minutes of the film where I felt it just takes a small little dip where I was like, it's compared to what we had the first, half of the film or even more than half of the film, it just, the ending for me just doesn't do it. However, going back to what Kyle just said, I thought it ended fine where I don't need a sequel. And I've said this from the moment the movie went out. And the reason why I mentioned this in John Wick when we first started this review was I saw this movie and I was just so mind blown. And I felt like I was a spokesperson telling everybody, this movie needs to make money. And I did the same thing with John Wick. With this, I saw one trailer and I was like, whatever. John Wick, I saw no trailer, had no idea what I was getting myself into. But I remember I was so happy with this movie because it's the video game in me. It was great action. It was just so fresh. It's a film that just, again, it was well acted. The supporting cast kicked ass. The chemistry between him, Blunt, and every character to be the execution was great, and it's not a boring movie. It's actually, I feel this movie is so underrated because it's getting a cult following now, but not a lot of people have actually seen this movie, or not a lot of people saw this movie until it landed on video. And that's one of the things, just like you said earlier, I hated the fact that this movie didn't make money. I remember when I was looking at the numbers, I'm like, this movie should have made so much more money. And the reviews and critics, everybody, the general consensus was that this movie kicked ass. Yeah.
They called it Live, Die, Repeat at the beginning.
When it released. No, opposite. So it was Edge of Tomorrow in theater, and when it came out on video, they changed it to Live, Die, Repeat. Where I was like,
back to Edge of Tomorrow, which it's dumb. I don't understand. Let's get to the final category though. Who won the movie? That's our biggest question here: is who won this movie? I think there's only two options. I went with one. Let's start with you, Anthony. Who won this film?
You're talking about like the actual character, like
overall
aliens?
No. Like who, no, not like who won the war or anything, but like when you come out of this movie, what are you thinking of, or who are you thinking of? Who won this movie?
In retrospect, it's Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt's the one that got the most out of this. But at the same time, you can say Tom Cruise, because I think this movie was the biggest domestic or the biggest grossing film that he did outside of his Mission Impossible franchise. And he was trying so hard to get a movie that wasn't Mission Impossible to gross money.
Yeah.
And even though it did it slowly, it still did. But also Doug Liman, because I think if it wasn't, nobody would be talking about Doug Liman.
Yeah, that's my pick. So I think in exactly what you just said, in retrospect, I feel like Blunt does win the film. Let's pretend we don't know the future of Emily Blunt or anything like that. We're all going to say out of there, be like, man, that she kicked some ass. That's the second movie, or not second movie, but back to back where she did Looper and this. She deserves something. But Doug Liman for me was just, again, what he directed was just so unexpected and so great. Again, it's not a boring film. I feel like even if you're not a sci-fi, I don't know, is your dad a sci-fi person, Anthony?
Nah, man. No.
Did he like it?
My dad's mostly like, just give me action. There's a
yeah.
Like, no laughs.
But did he like the movie at the end? Like, did he enjoy himself watching that movie, or he was one of those like, no? He's like, this movie sucked.
I think once he didn't understand like the plot, he's like, yeah, I'm out.
He tapped out.
Yeah, I'm just waiting.
See, but I feel like this movie is one of those that you don't have to be a science fiction fan, but you get so intrigued, and I feel like um uh they grasp you from the very beginning. That's why when I say one of my favorite scenes at the beginning is because when I was sitting in that chair, I knew that what was gonna happen, but I didn't know how it was gonna happen, and it grabs you, and I feel like that wouldn't have happened with the direction of Doug Liman. So again, if we're reviewing this film not as of what we know now, but as we're getting out of the theater, I would have said that I definitely would have given him this award. In retrospect, yeah, you're right. It is Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt did win this because even with Tom Cruise and the whole Mission Impossible, he already had Mission Impossible before this. We just got great sequels after this, And what else has Tom Cruise done as of late that because he hasn't done like a lot of shitty movies lately.
It's Mission Impossible. It's Jack Reacher 2, Never Go Back.
Well, Jack Reacher we're not talking about.
That's it. Let me tell you. When you can go toe to toe with Tom Cruise and beat him, in my opinion, you won this movie. Emily Blunt wins this film. She is awesome in the action scenes. She controls him in all the dialogue moments. She's in control of this film. And the first thing I think of when I think about this movie is that yoga pose. It's when she's, they're doing the push-up, holding that steady, and then he comes walking up and she does that rise up, kind of like a cobra. She wins this movie for me. That's the first thing I think of. That's it. Emily
That's unfair. That's unfair, though.
But here's that though. I think like you need a certain talent to elevate another talent. I don't think you would get that performance from Emily Blunt if it wasn't for Tom Cruise. I think you have to give him that kind of, because Tom Cruise does a lot in this movie as well. We can't take that away because this.
He absolutely does. Yeah.
No, it's his film. It's his film.
Never done.
But to me, it's Blunt. Like he helps support her to push her to that level, but I think she takes it another step forward. Like in Looper, I don't think Gordon Levitt's like pushing Blunt. I think Blunt just takes control of that movie in the second half. And if you think of Sicario, Benicio del Toro is great, but I don't think she really needs Benicio del Toro to be as great as she is. I think she's able to hold her own in a lot of these films, and this was the first one to me that really made everyone say, this is someone we need to pay attention to. And it got her all these roles ever since, where she's one of the best actresses working in Hollywood. Like we did the 64 best living actor tournament. She made it to the Elite 8. I mean, it means that you're leaving. You're leaving a legacy for people. So that is going to be our discussion on Edge of Tomorrow. Episode 12 is in the books for the Jader and Kyle show. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on the show, man, and joining us for your first time.
If you guys, sir. James Bond one, let me know. I will kill you for a James Bond one. Anything.
Which one?
Bro, just anything. Let's talk about James Bond. We can talk
about
James Bond at any time. That'd be fine.
All right. Sounds good. That sounds good.
When we get closer to No Time to Die, I feel like that might be a good one of your franchise episodes where we could do all the Daniel Craig ones. That could be a fun episode. All right, so we're putting you in the books then for Casino Royale. It's gonna happen. Dan, thank you. That is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want people to follow you on? You want to talk about what's going on within your world?
Well, what's going on in my world is I'm trapped at home. So my world's very tiny right now. So if people want to go ahead and follow me on Instagram, feel free. It's literally my name, Anthony Givas. So that's as much as I got to plug right now, man. Yeah.
Hey, short and sweet. We enjoy it. Jader, another fun show again today, man. Thank you to everyone who was in the chat joining with us. We had your friend Mill. Ruben just chopped in. Bert. We had Samir. We had Mike Domino, Tim, Steve, and then Samir is in there. And then we had Zombie Custom Maps, who is a big supporter of SCN. So welcome. Thank you, man. Thank you for joining us. Jader, anything you want to say?
Thank you very much. I mean, I got nothing right now. Actually, Schmodown's back for me. Thank God.
Okay.
Yeah, I got an email yesterday. I will be on a 36 person tournament.
So how's that going to work? How's that going to happen?
It's brackets, man. 36 players, and then just move my way in there. Hopefully, I do some damage. There's a lot of good players playing, man. So I do got to do the studying thing. I started already yesterday studying.
Good.
Actually, not even yesterday. I want to say Monday. That's what I've been doing. But I've just been doing like the cards that I'm rusty in. Speaking of James Bond, I'm so rusty at that because I've only seen
Stop
the.
talking. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't put your weaknesses out there.
but yeah, dude. No. But I'm excited, man. I'm getting back in the ring, man. I got a lot of support. There's some people that are not going to be in the tournament that I'm really surprised, and they've all offered their support since they're not going to be in there. They're letting a lot of new players play. So since a lot of people are doing the inner geekdom, there's some that are not going to do the singles, which is kind of wild for me. But I like my chances. So yeah. But yeah, you guys, as soon as I know, I'll post it on the page. As soon as I go up.
For sure.
Well, keep us informed, man. We're gonna be rooting for you all the way around. So I know it's coming up. Thank you to everyone who watched us with us again today. And as always, we'll see you next week on another episode of the Jader and Kyle Show.